in the Old Testament of the Bible, specifically in Judges chapters 4 and 5. Deborah is known as a wise and courageous woman who played a significant role in the history of Israel. The calling and leadership of Deborah stand out as fundamental elements in the biblical narrative surrounding this remarkable judge. Let's delve more deeply into these aspects. Deborah was called by God to fulfill the role of a judge and leader at a crucial moment in Israel's history. This calling is mentioned in Judges chapter 4, verses 4 to 7, where it is stated that Deborah, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel. The fact that she, a woman, was performing the role of a judge emphasizes the uniqueness of the divine calling that transcends cultural norms of that time. Deborah demonstrates wisdom in her role as a judge. She not only administers justice, but chooses a strategic location to hear cases and offer advice. Verse 5 highlights that she used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. This central location facilitated people's access to her for dispute resolution and guidance. Deborah's call to summon Barak to military leadership is a crucial moment in the narrative. In Judges chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, God instructs Deborah to call Barak and promises that Sisera will be delivered into their hands. The fact that a military leader is called by a woman reflects God's confidence in using individuals, regardless of their gender, to fulfill his purposes. Deborah does not hesitate to take an active role in military leadership, accompanying Barak into battle. Barak expresses reluctance, stating that he will only go if Deborah accompanies him. In Judges chapter 4, verse 9, Deborah agrees but prophesies that the honor for Sisera's defeat will not be for Barak, but for a woman. This highlights the joint and complementary leadership between Deborah and Barak. The unfolding of events, as prophesied by Deborah, is fulfilled during the battle, and the victory is celebrated in Deborah's song in Judges chapter 5. This song is an expression of praise and gratitude for divine intervention, acknowledging Deborah's leadership and God's faithfulness in the liberation of Israel. The calling and leadership of Deborah offer timeless lessons on divine empowerment, overcoming cultural norms, and the importance of collaboration and complementary leadership. Deborah's story inspires not only women, but all believers to respond to God's call with courage, wisdom, and confidence in his guidance. The battle led by Barak and Deborah against the forces of Sisera is a crucial point in the biblical narrative and is recorded in Judges chapters 4 and 5. Here are more details with citations of verses. After Deborah's call, Barak gathers 10,000 men from Naphtali and Zebulun. God promises to deliver Sisera into their hands. The confrontation is described in Judges chapter 4, verses 12 to 14. Barak went down with the 10,000 chosen men, and Deborah went with him. The Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and army before the sword of Barak. The battle is marked by a powerful divine intervention. In Judges chapter 4, verses 15 and 16, God confuses Sisera's forces with a storm while Barak and his army advance to victory. And the Lord routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army before the sword of Barak, and Sisera got down from his chariot and fled on foot. Deborah's prophecy is notably fulfilled during the battle. In Judges chapter 4, verse 9, she prophesies that the honor for Sisera's defeat would not be for Barak, but for a woman. This event unfolds when Jael, a woman, kills Sisera. Judges chapter 4, verse 21 reports, Jael, the wife of Heber, took a tent peg and a hammer and went softly to him and drove the peg into his temple. Judges chapter 5 contains Deborah's song, a poem celebrating the victory and highlighting the role of various tribes of Israel in the battle. Verse 12 says, "Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, break out in a song. Arise, Barak, lead away your captives, O son of Abinoam. Deborah's song emphasizes divine intervention in the battle and the victory granted by God. In Judges chapter 5, verse 3, it reads, "Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. I, even I, will sing to the Lord. I will sing praise to the Lord, the God of Israel." The battle and victory led by Deborah and Barak underscore the importance of trusting in God, the need for obedience to His guidance, and the certainty that He is capable of intervening powerfully in challenging situations. This narrative not only records a historical event, but also provides theological lessons about the sovereignty of God and the importance of trusting Him for victory over adversities. The fulfilled prophecy in the story of Deborah is a fascinating and significant aspect of the biblical narrative in Judges chapter 4. Deborah, as a prophetess and leader, made a specific prediction about how the honor for Sisera's defeat would not belong to Barak, but to a woman. This aspect of the story is found in Judges chapter 4, verse 9, where Deborah tells Barak, "The honor of defeating Sisera will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman." The fulfillment of this prophecy occurs notably later in the same chapter, in Judges chapter 4, verse 21, when Sisera, the commander of the enemy army, is killed by a woman named Jael. Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, carries out the decisive act by driving a tent peg into Sisera's head while he rested. This fulfilled prophecy highlights various theological and practical aspects. Deborah's prophecy and its fulfillment emphasize God's sovereignty over historical events. God, who knows all things, reveals His plan and purpose through prophecies, demonstrating His control over the course of history. The fulfillment of the prophecy through Jael, a woman not directly involved in the battlefield, is unexpected and underscores how God often chooses paths beyond human expectations to fulfill His purposes. The story highlights the active participation of women in carrying out the divine plan. Deborah leads and prophesies, while Jael plays a crucial role in Sisera's defeat. This subverts cultural expectations of the time and underscores the equality of value and calling between men and women in God's work. The precise fulfillment of Deborah's prophecy confirms the legitimacy of her role as a prophetess. This underscores the importance of listening to and obeying what God reveals through His messengers. The fulfilled prophecy is celebrated in Deborah's song, Judges chapter 5, where she sings praises to the Lord for the victory and acknowledges God's faithfulness. This highlights the importance of expressing gratitude and worship when we see God's promises fulfilled. The fulfilled prophecy in the story of Deborah offers a rich source of theological reflection, emphasizing divine sovereignty, the equality of value between men and women in God's work, and the importance of recognizing and celebrating God's faithfulness in all circumstances. The Song of Deborah is a poetic expression found in Judges chapter 5, celebrating Israel's victory over the Canaanites led by Sisera. This song is one of the oldest poetic passages in the Bible and offers a unique insight into the events of the time. Here are some notable aspects of the Song of Deborah. The Song of Deborah is a poetic composition of celebration, highlighting the joy and gratitude of the people of Israel for the liberation that God provided through the leadership of Deborah and Barak in the battle against Sisera and the Canaanites. Deborah sings about the active participation of various tribes of Israel in the battle. She mentions tribes such as Ephraim, Benjamin, Manasseh, Zebulun, and Issachar, emphasizing the unity of God's people in achieving victory. The song emphasizes that when the tribes unite in obedience to God, they experience His powerful intervention. The song acknowledges Barak's leadership on the battlefield, mentioning that he came with his warriors. It also highlights Deborah's prophecy about the honor of victory not belonging to Barak, but to a woman. The prophecy is fulfilled through the actions of Jael, who is praised in the song. Blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Blessed is she among women who dwell in tents. Judges 5:24. The song is filled with powerful images and metaphors. For example, the description of God coming from Mount Sinai to the battle is evocative. There are also references to weather conditions such as torrential rains, symbolizing divine power in the destruction of enemies. The song highlights the subversion of traditional gender roles in the culture of the time. Both Deborah and Jael are women who play decisive roles in Israel's victory. This reinforces the idea that God can choose and empower anyone, regardless of gender, to fulfill his purposes. The Song of Deborah concludes with a prayer, where Deborah calls for a curse upon Meroz, a city that did not join the fight against Sisera. This emphasizes the importance of cooperation and unity among the people of God in fulfilling his purposes. The Song of Deborah is not only a historical record, but also an artistic and theological expression that highlights God's faithfulness, the participation of all segments of society in his work, and God's surprising choice to use women centrally in redemptive events. In conclusion, the study of Judge Deborah in the Bible, her leadership, and the narrative of the battle against Sisera provide a rich source of theological and practical lessons for readers. Some important lessons drawn from Deborah's story include: Deborah is a vivid example of how God empowers and calls leaders, regardless of gender. Her leadership as a judge and prophetess emphasizes that God uses qualified and willing individuals, recognizing that authority and wisdom come from him. Deborah's story challenges the cultural norms of the time, especially regarding the role of women. God chooses Deborah and Jael to play key roles in the liberation of Israel, emphasizing the equality of value and calling between men and women in the execution of divine purposes. Both Deborah and Barak respond to God's call with obedience, despite challenging circumstances. The narrative highlights the importance of obedience to God's will, revealing that human collaboration with God's plans is essential for the fulfillment of his promises. The battle led by Deborah highlights God's sovereignty over historical events. Divine intervention is evident in the confusion caused among Sisera's forces and the fulfillment of Deborah's prophecy. This reminds us to trust in God's faithfulness even in the battles of life. The Song of Deborah celebrates the diversity of the tribes of Israel, emphasizing that unity in diversity is powerful when aligned with God's will. This lesson resonates with the importance of collaboration and recognizing each person's unique contribution in the body of Christ. Deborah's story is a reminder of God's faithfulness in fulfilling his promises. She trusted God for guidance, and he provided in surprising ways. This challenges us to trust in divine providence, even when God's paths seem unexpected. In summary, the study of Deborah in the Bible offers us an inspiring and challenging perspective on leadership, gender equality, and divine sovereignty. Her experiences encourage us to seek God's will, trust in his guidance, and recognize the diversity of gifts and callings he places within his people. May the story of Deborah continue to inspire and guide believers on their journey of faith and service to the Lord. Remember that God always gives us victory through Jesus. If you enjoyed this message, please like, comment, and share this video so that more people may be reached. May God bless your life in the name of Jesus.